Can you make a living as a voice actor? Yes, it's perfectly conceivable and possible to do that. Is it easy? No, it's not. You're probably aware it's not going to fall into your lap. Work is not going to just come tumbling into your inbox and you just pick up your mic and off you go. I mean, certainly the barrier to entry has got much lower. Years ago, you would have had to have spent thousands on equipment. Today, all you need is a decent USB condenser mic to get started or an XLR condenser to get started. The prices have come down and down. So that barrier to entry is much lower than it was even just a few years ago. So that's brought more people in. So there's lots more competition now than there was. And of course, going forward into the future, you're going to be competing with AI voices in addition to ordinary voice actors and kind of your contemporaries and so on, or people who sound a bit like you. So it is competitive, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. One of the things is defining what we mean by a living. For some people, just having it as a paid hobby is great, and they've got another source of income. They've got a proper day job or a couple of other jobs, so it would just be a welcome addition. Voiceovers wouldn't be their main source of earnings. And for them, just 2,000 or 3,000 a year would be absolutely brilliant. For other people, 150,000 a year wouldn't be enough, and they would say, "Well, I can't make ends meet on that. I've got the Bentley to run," and so on. So it does depend on the person and their individual demands, really, and their expectations, what they want to earn, and what they feel is feasible. So I think managing your own expectations is part of doing voiceovers. I came across this article in a magazine, an online magazine called Business Insider. And it's written by a guy called Christopher Tester. And he said, "I made $107,000 last year doing voiceovers. Here's how I started." And he goes on to explain, with an online course, grew to doing work for Warner Brothers, Pepsi, Google. So some pretty big high-ticket clients. And I think that's a great example of how you can really make a lot of money. So $107,000 works out in British pounds at about 88,000, something like that. So certainly a formidable amount of money. Interestingly, Christopher came to see us probably about 8 years ago. So he'd done an online course, I think, first or maybe afterwards. And he spent some time with us in the studio in 2015. So he's done some training. He's a very hard worker. I see a lot of his stuff on LinkedIn. He's very proactive when it comes to marketing. And I have to say, he's a very talented guy as well. He's had some acting experience. He'd done few voiceovers, I think, before he'd even come to see us. So he's a very positive example, I think, and probably the exception to the rule. I don't think most voice actors can hold their hands up and say, "I earned £88,000 last year." And I would say that is a rarity, but it's something to aim for. But how do you cope with that competition? How do you cope with competing with people like Chris? I mean, if you've got him and his earning power and you're going up against it. And I would say, well, try and find your voice, really. Try and find what you're good at doing and what you like doing. And try and understand what your voice sounds like to other people. It's quite important to have some sense of what you're selling. You need to know what you're selling before you start doing voiceovers, or certainly before you start marketing. And I think that's very important. So, of course, you've got to get yourself a good mic, and you've got to have some sound deadening around the space. You've got to make yourself some demos, a show reel, a voice reel, or whatever. You've got to do all of those. You've got to do your marketing. You've got to sign up to your various voiceover websites. But I think it's also important to have a sense of what you sound like. The most successful voiceover artists really are those who have an individual voice. They have something new to offer. They bring something to the table, and that's essentially your own voice. So that's how you compete with others. And that's how you can start to carve out your niche and hopefully earn some money from it and start to get that income trickling in so you can give up the day job and start just doing voiceovers full time. And the best advice I can give you is follow your dreams. If you want to do it, I am sure you will do it. If you're dedicated enough, if you are tenacious enough and you're not put off, if you've got a bit of a thick skin, don't be put off by rejection or silence from clients. You'll expect probably nothing from them until you get that first gig. So I would certainly say, have a dream, follow that dream, but at the same time, have a sense of proportion and make your expectations achievable. So if you want to earn just your first $20 or your first £100 or whatever it happens to be, make it achievable. And once you've got that first step and you've got that under your belt, that will give you enough of a boost to move you on to the next step. So it's about taking baby steps, really, and just doing it in your own time and step by step, pace by pace. But certainly keep your dream out there, follow it and go for it. One of the biggest things is that people often get put off. They hesitate too much, they prevaricate too much, and they just don't put enough effort in, or any effort at all, or they don't even do it. And they just sit there thinking, oh, I should have given it a go at least. You've got nothing to lose really, apart from the cost of buying a microphone, perhaps taking some training and getting some old blankets and duvets and things and doing a bit of marketing. It's worth it at the end of the day. At least give it a try. And yes, you can make a living. People prove it all the time that they do earn money from voiceovers, and you can too. All right, thanks very much for watching today. Look after your voice and see you next time.